Hey guys, Dantix here. Should you play Mass Effect Legendary Edition? The answer, in my opinion, is an absolute resounding yes. That's it. That's the video. For those who need more information, let me quickly break it down for you in a way that won't spoil your own experiences. First, if you already played the trilogy, you fall into one of two brackets. Either you very much enjoyed it, and to you I recommend sticking around to hear why the Legendary Edition improves on what you know, or you didn't enjoy the trilogy, and in which case, Legendary Edition simply isn't for you. For those who haven't had the pleasure of experiencing the Mass Effect trilogy, you now have the opportunity to play, quite frankly, one of the most influential games of our generation fully remastered in one holistic pack. Mass Effect 2 was my favorite game of all time, and the trilogy as a whole is a moving, inspirational, immersive, crowning narrative achievement that I haven't experienced in any other video game. It's a shame that 3 was marred in controversy because those who have avoided the games are truly missing out on an amazing journey. And that's what the trilogy is, an incredibly inspired journey about more than just a destination. I'll expand on that soon. At the time of this recording, I've only played on PC and my experience was flawless. I can't speak to the performance of consoles. The 3 Mass Effect titles are narrative-driven RPG adventures, following the journey of Commander Shepard, who can be customized and played as male or female. You're thrusted into the Milky Way galaxy of the future. Humans are relatively new to the galactic scene. Of course, the first thing they do is start a war. The game is set a generation after that war, and humans are ready to be taken seriously by the other races of the universe. The lore is lovingly developed, and I spent hours sitting and listening to the Codex's vast universe building. I can't overstate how well constructed and immersive the universe is across all 3 titles if you take the time to listen. When you start the game, you're presented with a launcher, and from there you can choose which title you want to play. If you have a save file, it'll show where you're up to with each character. Each game can be played individually, but the intention is that you play one after the other, as the choices you make, which can range from who you talk to all the way to who lives and who dies, carry over to the next game. By Mass Effect 3, you feel like everything you've done so far has led you to this point, and most of all, it'll feel like your story. I played through the trilogy doing absolutely all I could, being a morally upstanding champion of the people. My friend, however, did whatever it took for the greater good. Our games felt drastically different, to the point that he had very few followers and hadn't even met one of my favorite characters, but he got the job done and had a high rating. Now, you may have heard that the ending of the trilogy was bad. That may have been the case at 3's release, but since then there's been DLCs that remedy this and expand upon everything. The Citadel DLC gives the characters the send-off they deserve, and at this point of the adventure, they feel like family. The Legendary Edition comes complete with Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, as well as all their DLCs, except for one that's forever gone due to a third party losing the source code, though you aren't really missing anything. Each game comes with a host of gameplay and visual improvements, as well as running at 4K and 60 plus frames a second. Prior to the Legendary Edition, the only hesitation I would have had recommending the trilogy was that Mass Effect 1 didn't age so well. In the Legendary Edition, it's received the most drastic improvements out of the 3. So much has improved that I think it may be edging out Mass Effect 2 as my favorite in the trilogy. Beyond the visuals, which for the most part make it feel like a game released in 2021, the combat and gameplay has been fine-tuned. Instead of firing at 45-degree angles, firing unskilled weapons are much more forgiving accuracy-wise. This does make normal difficulty a bit too easy for me, and some classes more powerful, but higher difficulty settings still retain their challenge. There are numerous other improvements like this, but I'll leave that to you to discover. There are moments of jankiness, but nothing that really pulled me out of the experience for long, and I'd rather not mention the specifics for your sake, as it will turn into something that you're consciously looking for. So Mass Effect 2 and 3 have far less drastic improvements, as they more or less held up to modern standards. However, they do have their share of remastering as well. The biggest is the 4K upgrade and frame rate improvements, which are quite noticeable. I mentioned DLC before. These are more interwoven into the games than they were in the originals. The story DLC occur more organically, while the weapon and armor DLCs can be found in shops or as rewards instead of just being given to you up front. The Legendary Edition does a few things to make you feel like the 3 games are even more connected than ever. For one, some achievements function across multiple titles. Another example is that your galactic readiness rating, which influenced the ending in Mass Effect 3, is now much harder to raise. If you were to play Mass Effect 3 on its own, you would struggle to get a perfect ending. By playing 1 and 2 and importing your choices over, you'll have an easier time. This doesn't mean the games are without their fundamental flaws. Mass Effect 1 and 2 are older games, so life improvements that you may be used to are missing. For example, Mass Effect 1 has you backtracking sometimes after finishing a mission instead of instantly teleporting. Mass Effect 2's RPG mechanics at times felt too streamlined. Little things like this are present, but never distract overall from the title's achievements. Those who play 3 might also notice a lack of multiplayer. The developers made a conscious choice early on to focus on the single-player aspects of the title. Multiplayer would have been welcome, but it isn't what 3 was about. Instead, out of the box you get a complete single-player experience across the 3 titles without microtransactions or add-ons. So Mass Effect 1 introduces you to the universe and antagonists, Mass Effect 2 ups the stakes and offers even more consequence to your actions, while Mass Effect 3 offers conclusions to your choices throughout an overwhelmingly grim situation. In a way, it almost flows like the original Star Wars trilogy, and I have no doubt this was intentional. Each game follows a linear story path but lets you explore and approach situations at your own pace. Overall, you may be able to get through the trilogy in, say, 60 hours, but completionists will need far longer, especially if you factor in the optional DLC content. So you're getting a lot of value in one package. I don't usually give out ratings, I much prefer to inform you about the title, and if you have similar tastes to me, you'll know whether a game is for you or not. However, even though it's not perfect, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is the closest thing to a 10 out of 10 that I can give. If you haven't had the chance yet, I could not more highly recommend playing this trilogy. It's truly a masterpiece effect. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your experiences with the trilogy below, and for all your RPG needs, keep your eyes on Dantix. Ciao, friends.